What's up, guys? Thanks for joining and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making a glittered epoxy tumbler sippy cup for babies. And for that you'll need a a stainless steel insulated tumbler. I'm not sure on the ounces that this is, but this is just what it looks like. It's one of the smaller tumblers that you can order off of Amazon, Etsy, or I got it at our local vinyl shop that we have here in town. And they have several sizes. You'll also need a cup turner, which I purchased this off of Amazon. It comes with this little styrofoam football that you insert into your cups. This is more for the smaller sizes, and you just insert into that cup and put it on. It also came with a bigger size styrofoam for larger tumblers, and like I said, I got this off of Amazon. I got it a while ago. I know it came with some other parts, but I don't know exactly what it came with. But like I said, it was about $29. They have a few different options on Amazon that you can order from. But so we're also going to need a heat gun. And this is just basically a mini blow dryer. It is a hot air gun. It blows out just hot air, like I said, like a blow dryer on low setting. This is basically what that is. And you can get this off of Amazon. I got it for about $13 to $15. Bought it a while ago, so I'm not sure exactly what the price is now. And so also you will need some Mica pigment powder. I also got this off of Amazon for about $30. They have some cheaper options, but it comes with fewer colors. This is powder like they use at the nail salon. You can also use it with epoxy. So you can also get that off of Amazon as well, like I said. Next, you will need some epoxy. And for those of you who are new to using epoxy, there are two parts to it. You can get this off of Amazon. There are plenty of different brands, ounces. I got a 40 ounce. It's pretty pricey the bigger that they get, but like I said, it comes with two parts: your epoxy resin, which is part A, and your epoxy hardener, which is part B. And we'll go into more details on how to use this later on in the video. So with that also came some measuring cups, gloves, and a few mixing tools, but I just use a popsicle stick to mix my epoxy. It's just a little easier for me. Like I said, you'll also need some measuring cups for mixing the epoxy. I'll also be using a silicone mat just to make it less messy. Once epoxy gets hard and it's on that silicone, it's easier to clean up. You'll also need some painter's tape to line your cup with. I'm also going to be using, instead of the measuring cups I showed you at first, I'm going to be using the silicone measuring cups just so it's easier to clean. That epoxy pops right out on those silicone cups. You see me with some gloves on, and I probably won't. You can use them, just not that type of gloves. They're really hard to work with. So you see me putting them on right now in the video, but later on you will see me take them off because they just didn't work with that. So first we're going to start off by lining your cup with the painter's tape. And you don't want to really line, you don't want to really get the tape on the outer part of the cup because you will have to put the epoxy on it. So you just need to line it on the the inside of the cup and like barely on the outside, like just around the tip of the cup. And you'll see how I do that here. You can see that I'm literally just putting it on the top of that rim of the cup. I'm not getting it on the outside because, like I stated before, you will need to epoxy and get your glitter and your pigment powder onto the outside of the cup, so we don't need that covered. And this is just so that the epoxy doesn't fall inside of the cup, because it will be very difficult to screw that top on. If that epoxy gets on, it gets hardened along that along the inside of that cup, and it's very hard to get out. So we're just going to speed this up a little. Like I stated before, you just want to get that on the inside of the cup and get kind of a perfect rim around the cup so that it doesn't get on the inside. Okay guys, so next we are going to be doing the very most important part in making this tumbler. The reason why I say this is the very most important part is because if you mess this up, you mess up your entire cup and you just wasted money basically. So when pouring your resin, it is very, very, very important that you pour equal parts resins to equal parts hardener. If you pour way too much of the hardener and not enough of the resin, your cup is going to come out sticky. It's not going to set. It's not going to harden. And vice versa, if you pour more of the hardener than you do the resin, it's going to do the exact same thing. It's not going to set, and you're going to just waste the whole cup. When pouring this, I am pouring way more than what you need. I'm going to be making 3 cups, so that's why I'm pouring this much. But you literally need half of what I'm pouring. I did 2 millimeters, which is what my measuring cup is, and you'll probably need like half of one milliliter resin and half of 1 milliliter hardener. And I'm pouring it all in the same cup, but as you can see, I have 2 measuring cups next to me. And if you're more comfortable doing it with 2 different measuring cups and then mixing them together, I would do that. I've done this plenty of times, so I'm comfortable pouring them together. And I can eyeball. I don't really need the measuring cups, but if you are first time, if you're beginning or you're not used to doing this, you definitely need to use a measuring cup with lines and measurements on there, because like I stated before, you want it to be equal parts hardener and equal parts resin. So we're going to stir this, and we're going to be stirring for about 3 minutes. As you can see, the way it looks when I put it close up to the camera, it's a little murky. And when it's done, whenever you're done mixing it, whenever it's ready, it'll be very, very clear. It'll be a little easier to stir, and you'll feel it. Like I said, you're going to be measuring or stirring this for about 3 minutes. You don't want to go way too fast because you'll give yourself bubbles. But the good thing about that is if you do go fast and you do get bubbles, you do have that heat gun where you can get those bubbles out, and I'll show you how to do that later on. But we're just going to go ahead and stir, and make sure you're getting that off the, scrape the edges of the cup, the measuring cup, so that you're getting all of it in there. And you want it to all be mixed very, very well. That is also important because, once again, if you don't mix it well, then there are parts of the resin that's not mixed with the hardener, and it won't set. The epoxy, getting that right with measurements and getting it stirred correctly is the most important part to making your tumbler. I stated before, you're going to start stirring this for about 3 to 4 minutes. Once you get a clear looking liquid, it's about ready, and you can add your pigment in there. And you're going to mix your pigment, and it doesn't take too much. If it's not the color consistency that you want, feel free to add more. This isn't the color consistency that I want, so I am going to add more of this pearl white. And then I'm going to mix it until it's mixed thoroughly and throughout the mixture. And then we're going to get ready to pour it. We are going to go ahead and get our cup turner out and place our cup on the turner and turn the cup turner on. Once we get the cup turner on, we're going to start to pour our epoxy. I start off using gloves to kind of spread it out, but I transition into using a paintbrush. You can buy a silicone paintbrush off of Amazon. I'm using in this video a regular paintbrush, but it is way less messier and easier to clean with a silicone paintbrush. As I stated before, I am going to switch from the glove method to the paintbrush method. It is 100% easier to do it like this. You're just going to dip your paintbrush into the epoxy mixture and start to paint over the cup, and make sure that you're putting enough of the mixture onto the cup. This is your base, so it's the most important layer. You want it to be thicker than your second coat. So like I stated, just spread that out evenly. Don't worry about streaks. If you see streaks on the cup, don't panic. As you continue to paint around the cup, it will smooth out, and once we use our heat gun, it'll give it a more smooth look. So like I stated before, just evenly spread that out onto your cup and onto the bottom of your cup. If you guys remember at the beginning of the video, I showed the cup and it was a white cup, just a plain white cup, and I added that pearly white pigment into the mixture of my epoxy, and it gave it this color look. And this is actually my favorite pigment. I use it for all my personal cups, because it's very simple and it gives it that sparkly, cute look. So I'm just spreading that on evenly and trying to finish up my first layer. After we get this layer a little more coated on, I am going to use my heat gun to evenly smooth out the bubbles and the streaks. You don't want to use the heat gun too closely to the cup because it will give that splatter effect. You want to be about maybe 5 to 6 inches away from the cup. If you start to see it splatter, go back a little further. And as the cup turns on the cup turner, you just continue to heat that, or hold that air gun over your cup until you don't see any more streaks and bubbles. So I'm going to speed up the video so that you guys can see how that looks when I'm using the cup or the air gun. Next, I am just going to add a very thin layer of the chunky orange glitter to the cup, and just like sporadically, I have no method to it, I'm just sporadically adding the glitter on there. And this is just because I don't have like a method of how I want this cup to look. I want it to look random and in no particular order. So I'm just going to put that around, and we're going to let this dry for 24 hours and then come back. So my cup has been drying for 24 hours and it is completely dry. So I'm going to add my second and final layer of epoxy to the cup. And I just repeated those steps of mixing the epoxy, resin, and hardener and the pigment. And I'm going to paint a thin layer of that on top of the cup. And the reason why we're doing that is because we added that chunky glitter to the cup, and once it dried, it gave it like a pokey feeling to it. And you want it to be smooth. You don't want to be able to feel that glitter. So we're going to add our another layer of epoxy to that. If you don't add that chunky glitter, then there's no need for you to put your second coat of epoxy unless you just want to do it. Also, if you're adding a vinyl design to your cup, then this will not be your last layer of epoxy. You will have to put a little bit of epoxy on top of that vinyl design. I am going to have a part 2 to this video so that you guys can see how I do my vinyl design and add it to the cup. But just for this video here, this is going to be the last layer of epoxy that you do on top of that glitter cup, and you're going to let it dry for another 24 hours. Because we are doing it such a thin layer on this one, if you don't want to let it dry for 24 hours, a good 12 hours should be okay. It should be dry after 12 hours. But if it feels just a tad bit wet, continue to let it dry. If not, and you're just touching it, you'll have fingerprints in it. And we don't want that. We want it to look clean and smooth. So we're going to go ahead and finish putting our final layer to it. And I'm going to come back to show you the final product. Okay guys, so our second layer has dried, and this is our final product and how it turned out very good. It's very smooth. You can see the glitter from the pigment as well as the chunky glitter that we put on there. And we have a very smooth look to it. So guys, like I said it before, I have a part 2 to this video if you're wanting to know how to add vinyl to your cup. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Thanks for joining me today, and bye.